Folks, hello, welcome back to Ancient Cosmography. So let's see, I'm reading this Celtic story here, and I think it may relate to America because it's talking about the mill, and the mill was usually placed in the underworld, and it was kind of the center of the cosmos. Hence, my name being the Scottish for Miller is fitting since I study cosmography. And Rowan also, because the Rowan tree, I think, sometimes played the same role as being the center of the cosmos. And let's see, so Mongan. So Mongan is in the western land, like the western world across the sea, basically, west of Ireland. In what shape, O Mongan, said Mac an Dame, in what shape shall we go? So, let's see. All right, well, anyway. So, it's talking about traveling to the west. And he asked Mongan, who's like the king of the west or something of the underworld, or one of the underworld leaders, which shape shall we go? In what shape shall we go? Because all this ancient geography is about shapes. And as they were there, they see the hag of the mill, to wit, Cumni, and she was a hag as tall as a weaver's beam, and a large chain dog with her licking the millstones with the twisted rope around his neck, and Brothar was his name. And they saw a hack mare with an old pack saddle upon her, carrying corn flour from the mill. And when Mongan saw them, he said to Mac an Dame, I have the shape in which we will go, said he, and if I am destined ever to obtain my wife, I shall do so this time. That becomes the O Noble Prince. So anyway, it's like they need these shapes to travel. So if it does relate to America, I was thinking that it could be that the hag is actually like, so many of ancient maps were shown with south as up. And so it could be that basically at the tip of South America, that this would be the hag, and that, that basically Tierra del Fuego would be her face, and her eyes would be these two kind of like inlets in the side of it. And, maybe she has like a bird on her hat or something like in the Egyptian style. I don't know, but this would be her mouth, and she's like mostly toothless, so that would fit being like a quote unquote old hag or whatever, having no teeth like me. Like I just had to get my first tooth pulled out. That'll be me soon. So anyway, like hopefully not. This is like would be her hair, basically, all these islands in Patagonia and whatever. And it is like hair. It's all these like little choppy islands here. Chonos here could be like a dreadlock that like fell off or something, and forget what that one's called. But anyway, so that's a and then this would be her titty, like her boobs, and especially because she's old, so her boobs are like hanging down. This would be her belly. So that certainly can fit. And then I was thinking maybe just behind her this might be her dog. And so it could be that the twisted chain around its neck could be the twisted, this twisted Central America. It might be seen as somehow going around his neck. So it's hard to say, and it could be that the millstones relate to these islands here, because this is also where the the millstones are seen to be like the center of power and everything, and the Gulf of Mexico is the center of oceanic power, you could say. I think it creates the most weird storms and everything with like the Gulf stream current and everything. So anyway, that's a possibility. And it could be that Florida is the horse, or even that one of these islands is the horse. So again, I'm not sure about this really, but just tinkering around with it, it's probably something like this, just based on how they talk about it as the shapes to travel by. This is another possibility for the face of the hag or whatever, that it would be this face, or it could be this face and up here, and this would be her titties. But I was thinking from here this looks kind of like that, and there's some little island there, but then I looked, it's actually a peninsula, so if it was this, she'd have to be like smoking a roach or something. But she's pretty thick either way. The conception of Mongan and Dublacha's love for Mongan deals with the sovereignty of Ireland, first as the Black Hag of Lachlan, yada yada. Who so in this manner begat Mangan Macfiachne, or Mongan Fionn, who Mananan fosters in his magical island kingdom in the west. So there you go, the magical island kingdom in the west, teaching him the arts of magic and shape-shifting after a period away. So shape-shifting means like this type of stuff. I'm sorry guys, but like this stuff is not really about literal magic, or it's not ever, magic is never literal, otherwise it wouldn't be magic. Magic means symbolic. After a period of way, Mongan returns to Ireland replete with higher mystical knowledge and magical powers, a veritable incarnation of Manannan himself. So yeah, I hope I identified some of that correctly, but who knows. It's also maybe possible that Newfoundland is the dog. Who knows? Alright, so then let me see if it'll let me delete any of this. Nope. Of course not. So I just got to put it over here, I guess, and then all right. So stupid computer. Like I tried to close a photo, so it's still wigging out because it doesn't have the strength to close a photo. I'm gonna have to, after this video, I'm gonna have to crash the whole thing and then restart it, or the photo app. Stupid apps. All right, well, this was something that I was watching the Kung Fu Panda show on Netflix, a new season of it, and they actually, like all these fantasy shows, they always deal with the underworld and infernology and whatever. And so in this instance, they actually, they go through this place. I think they're in Tikal at some point, like in Guatemala, and I'm not sure if that's where this is, but they go through this and they find this magic well portal, and then they jump down the well, and then eventually the gravity turns and they like, because it's like the well to China, and then they say go towards the light, since that is usually the afterlife voyages to the underworld. And then they come out the other side and they say that boat ride to England could have been so much faster. So yeah, that's some infernology for you. There was another photo, but I can't find it. I did like an entire video, but then it like cut me off, or almost an entire video, but then it cut me off because I didn't realize I still had another video hiding on my phone. And see, this is Iceland. So this is from the Celtic stories, and I'm thinking that this story represents Iceland. Dirk Cora went into exile, dwelt in a wood, used to go about on shanks of deer for his lightness. One day as Fionn was in the woods seeking him, he saw a man in the top of a tree, a blackbird on his right shoulder, and in his left hand a white vessel of bronze filled with water, in which was a jumping trout, and a stag at the foot of the tree. So I think the stag is this, which actually is the foot of the tree. It is the trunk of its antlers are the trunk of the tree. His back legs, front legs, face, antlers. And then the blackbird can only be this peninsula here. And then that would make this probably Dirk Cora's head. And then that would make, these the two shoulders of Dirk Cora. And so then the left hand be over here. So I think this is the bronze, this entire thing is the bronze vessel filled with water. And it has an apple in it. So I'm thinking this is the apple because it's kind of shaped like an apple. So, it's a cool way to memorize. Like now, just by this, you will know unless you deliberately forget it, you will know the shape of Iceland. And if you ever have to sail around that side of ice or any side of Iceland, you'll have some idea of how to do it. So yeah, I think this is the apple inside the vessel, or that's what it seems to be. And then this is the bird, the blackbird, and I think he's called a blackbird more for his shape than his color, because he kind of has a big head and beak and smallish body, not a huge tail or anything. And then this is just showing what it would be like to sail alongside the apple, and you can see how it really is shaped a lot like an apple without I guess the stem is picked out, but other than that. So yeah, there's the bird and Dirk Cora's head, I think, and it says in it that his head is cloaked on account of Fionn did not recognize him on account of his cloak of concealment which he wore. And then this would be the vessel over here. And let's see, so I wanted to point out that, this system of using shapes of things, anthropomorphizing shapes, like turning them into people or animals or animal people to tell stories, to memorize these shapes, is pretty universal. So here's in Songlines by Bruce Chatwin, where he talks about how Mount Lycaon itself, an image of the crouching beast king. So you can see in Europe some of the mythological stories associated with certain mountains. The shapes are actually seen in those mountains. So you can see the crouching beast king. And here in Hamlet's Mill, I'm just reading about how similar type of thing where it talks about the Olympia. Zeus overcame his father Cronus and threw him down out of the royal chariot. Near Olympia you can see the Cronian hill, which still bears the imprint of the celestial posterior. So the heavenly buttocks are... So it's the same system, whether it's Greek, whether it's Roman, whether it's Celtic, whether it's Australian. I mean, this other book is mostly about Australian Aboriginal song lines, but it's the same system. Like here's the Aboriginal one says, we sat down cross-legged in the sand. I asked him if he'd mind pointing out some local dreamings.